Party's over, huh? Tell me when I can begin. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate
Recording in progress.
Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sanyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Saturday evening on this Vyasa Puja gathering, I'm going to enjoy this evening's topic very much. Gratitude of the Supreme Person. Vishnu, Rama, Krishna, and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu. Devotional service is a relationship. And the devotees feel gratitude towards the Supreme Personality of Godhead for many reasons. And the Supreme Personality feels gratitude towards his loving devotees for many reasons. And we're going to be exploring some of the manifestations of this gratitude of the Supreme Lord. It is a quality within the Supreme Lord. And therefore, naturally, it's a quality within the soul, because souls are part and parcel of the Supreme. So we can focus on the gratitude that we may feel towards him, towards the Supreme Person, and this is a focus in the reverse direction. And let us remember that it's always a relationship between the lover and the beloved and their various roles and positions. We'll start with the devotee. A Vaishnava is one who feels grateful for benedictions offered by the grace of the Supreme Lord. We mentioned this one already, the Gajendra Moksha Leela, where the personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, came on the back of Garuda and rescued Gajendra from the crocodile that was chomping on his leg. And the particular reference that we made this morning was from the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the chapter connected with the killing of Hiranyaksha. Just after that, Sutta is narrating all of this. Sutta says, "What grateful soul is there who would not render his loving service to such a great master as the personality of Godhead? And this sentence, this verse 36, comes after Suta's having completed the killing Hiranyaksha. He then speaks about the killing of the crocodile, or the rescuing of Gajendra, when he called out to the Lord and fixed his mind upon him and called out with loving prayers. Then this verse. The Lord can be easily pleased by spotless devotees who resort exclusively to him for protection, though the unrighteous man finds it difficult to propitiate him. So there's their Sanskrit word, kritagya. Kritagya means gratitude, or knowing, gya, acknowledging, krita, the favor that has been done for one, the act of kindness that has been extended to one. And in this case, it's protection by Gajendra, or for Gajendra, by Lord Vishnu. Now, similarly, as the devotee Vaishnava feels gratitude, so also the Supreme Lord feels gratitude or grateful to such a Vaishnav. And he may offer benedictions to that Vaishnav because of his mercy. Now, the scene here looks just the opposite. Just the opposite. There's little Vamana seated on the throne, and before him is Bali Maharaj, who just surrendered the throne and everything he possessed, and Vamana is having him bound with ropes like a criminal because he promised 3 paces of land and Bali didn't give him 3 paces of land. But it was purposeful to show the glories of his fully surrendered devotee. Vamana arrested Bali for not keeping his promise. But he wanted to show his glory, and sure enough, his glory was shown, and Vamana then expressed, "This is the reason. I wanted to show the world the great quality," because Bali didn't protest. We're going to hear some other stories, very interesting, very wonderful narrations of other devotees not protesting when the Lord apparently was dealing with them harshly, but they didn't protest, and the Lord was very pleased. Very pleased. Very pleased. Just like this St. Francis story of the perfect joy. We'll hear as we go forward. After explaining, Vamana's explaining why he did what he did was to show the world the elevated, complete surrender of Bali. Being pleased with Bali Maharaj, the Supreme Lord offered his disc, Sudarshan Chakra, to protect Bali Maharaj, and promised to remain with him. He said, "I'll stand at your gate. I'll give you another place to reside," which sounded like a demotion, but the description is, it was many times more opulent than heaven in Sutala. And the Lord's protection, not only his disc, "I'll stand at your door, and if any of the Danavas or the Asuras or the demigods or anybody comes to give you harm, finished, I'll protect you. Personally, I'll protect you." The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of the 3 worlds, who is most compassionate to his own devotee, stands with a club in hand at Bali Maharaj's door. There's his disc, there's his club, and there's his big toe. When Ravana, the powerful demon, came to gain victory over Bali Maharaj, Vamana kicked him a distance of 80,000 miles with his big toe. He's the protector. Although the pastime looked like, oh, he's being mistreated. And some person saw like that. In that painting standing next to Bali, that's his grandfather, Prahlad. And he didn't see like that. He thought, this is really great. Having full faith in the Supreme Lord. Externally, it didn't look great. So we're speaking now about Vishnu, because Lord Vishnu was the one who appeared before Aditi, following her austerities, promising to become her son and have Indra's kingdom restored to Indra. Indra's kingdom was restored. Later, Vishnu says, after your stay in Sutala, when the change of Manus comes and there's a new Indra, you'll be the Indra. Really amazing. Really amazing. In the Vishnu Sahasranam, as you may know, Baladev Vidyabhusan wrote a commentary for each and every name of the 1,000 names of Vishnu. And one of the names of Vishnu is, look at this, Kritagya, or grateful. No, it's an adjective describing him, but it's one of his names. He's grateful. And here's his commentary. The Lord himself has explained the word Kritagya, making reference to this Bhagavad Gita verse, well-known verse, Patram Pushpam Palam Toyam. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. He's grateful. I made mention before, but this is one of the characteristics of the personality of Godhead, that even one comes to his temple and does the smallest little service, even turns one screw, Krishna will never forget. That's the nature of Lord Vishnu, or the personality of Godhead. Now we're going to have some fun describing this characteristic of gratitude in Lord Ramachandra. One of the very first places that this word Kritagya appears in Valmiki Ramayana comes in the very first section, verse number 21, where Valmiki is meeting with Narada, asking Narada, who is that person who has all these qualities? Some number of qualities, I forget the number. But you can see there in the Sanskrit, Kritagya, grateful, one who remembers even little help done by others. How it's translated right from the, from the text. Who in this world lives today endowed with excellent qualities, prowess, righteousness, gratitude, truthfulness, and firmness in his vow? These are questions that, in one sense, it's rhetorical. He knew the answer, but he wanted Narada to describe, and Narada gave his little summation of Ramayana and instructed Valmiki to write Ramayana in fullness. So there's the word Kritagya, and the same root word is there in Dasara's description in the next kanda, where he's thinking of Ram's qualities. You see this word Kritena. Gifted with self-restraint, Rama was grateful for even a single favor done to him, yet would not remember even 100 disfavors others may have committed towards him. This is Dasarath reflecting on Ram's qualities. So first was Valmiki asking who has all these qualities. Here's Dasarath confirming he has all these qualities. He is recalling his able son Sri Ram's glorious qualities. Ram is grateful for every single act of favor toward him and not mindful of hundreds of disfavors against him. It's a celebrated, it's a very outstanding remark in the early sections of Ramayana. Another is when Lakshman is introducing himself to Hanuman. Now the painting below shows Sita's there, but Sita's not there yet. She's already been kidnapped. But when the meeting between Ram, Lakshman, and Hanuman takes place, Hanuman introduces himself, and then Lakshman introduces himself. I'm the younger brother, famous by the name Lakshmana. Captivated by his qualities, I become his servant, for he is grateful and considers little acts of service to be great. Recognizing the quality of Ram as being very grateful. The next is not from Valmiki Ramayana, but I like the pastime. It's the crossing of the Ganga. In the background you see Guha, who's arranging for a boatman to take Ram, Sita, and Lakshman across in this very nice boat with a little canopy over it. So Ram instructs Lakshman to help Sita get on board. Then he'll go sit in the bow. Now Ram is ready to board the boat. And the boatman stops. Stop! Ram doesn't put his foot on the boat and says, my dear boatman, what's the problem? He said, I've heard about your feet. You put your feet on a rock, and the rock turned into a woman. And I already have 2 daughters, and I can't have enough means to marry those 2 daughters. What to speak of when my boat turns into a woman? So you can't get in the boat. Sita heard the boatman speak. Sita's looking at him like, what's wrong with you? And Guha doesn't seem to be responding, doesn't say, says Sita is very disturbed. And Ram is all-knowing. So, my dear boatman, what do you suggest? I have to cross the river. He said, I have to wash your feet, so because all the dust that's on your feet, if that's cleared away, then everything's going to be nice. Ram smiled. He got out his bowl and washed the feet of Ram, and immediately began drinking the water and splashing it on his family members and said, okay, now you can get in the boat. Then Sita could understand. It was a trick to get the foot bath of Lord Ram. And very wonderfully, when they get to the other side, as a cultured person will do, Ram said, I'm very grateful for this service that you've rendered. I'd like to give you some gift or reward, but unfortunately, I've gave away my possessions and I have nothing to give you. Sita, do you have something? Do you have any jewel or ornament we can give to the boatman? And she started searching, and the boatman said, no, no, no. The benediction that I wish has been given to me, just the opportunity to render some service to you and to see you and to take the foot wash from your feet. And that's all I require. Satisfied with service, the Lord feeling grateful and wanting to reciprocate as cultured people. This happens again and again. Cultured people In Ramayana, it's mentioned many times. They give a gift to someone who brings some good news or does some good deed, like KK wanting to give to Mantra her necklace when she brought the good news that Ram's coronation is taking place the next day. It's just part of culture. So Ram was cultured and exhibiting perfect Dharma. There's another reference about Ram's gratitude, and it has to do with Hanuman in Lanka finding Sita, doing what he did to pacify Sita so she trusted him, eventually gave Ram's ring to Sita, and then the different topics were discussed. And now the stage is take a message back to Ram, and so that Ram will know that you actually found me. There were two things. She had some ornament, a gift that was given to Ram at the time of their wedding, which Sita had. Give this to Ram, he'll know. But Sita also told there's an event that took place at Chitrakoot that only I will know. Ram and I will know. And that event was the son of Indra wanted to test Lord Ramachandra's prowess and strength. So he took the form of a crow and pecked as a crow will do sometimes. He pecked at Sita's chest, and Ram took a piece of grass, imbued the piece of grass with the Brahmastra, and threw the piece of grass at the crow. And the crow fled here and there and everywhere, even up to Indraloka, but nothing could be done. So what did he do? The crow came back and took shelter at the feet of Ram, who then forgave him, although he was worthy of being killed for that offense. So that's what Sita narrates to Hanuman. Here's the verse. Seeing the crow fallen on the ground, he, Kakutstha, who is a savior, the Sanskrit is Sharanya, of one who seeks refuge, Sharanagatam, saved him, that's the crow, out of compassion, even though he deserved to be killed. And here's some commentary explaining. Sita Devi is narrating to Hanuman the magnitude of Sri Ram's gratitude. A paltry crow that was audacious enough to peck on her bosom had to flee for his life when Sri Ram released a blade of grass imbued with the power of Brahmastra upon him for his offense. Interestingly, much like the case with Vyasa Muni, the crow could not find shelter in Indraloka or anywhere else in the universe. Only when he fell at the feet of Sri Ram was he excused. And now there's more commentary. It has to do with the Kakutstha and the gratitude of Ram. That's here. King Kakutstha, that's an ancestor of Lord Ramachandra. The screen is jumping. I'll just read it. You don't have to see it. I'll just read it. No, I'm going to have to see it too. King Kakutstha fought the demons on behalf of the demigods. This is an ancestor in the line of Lord Ramachandra. During the fight, the king's chariot was destroyed by demons. Indra intervened in the form of a bull and invited Kakutstha to ride on his back to continue the fight. This favor, that's the Krita, shown upon the king by Indra, was glorified by the demigods, and he became famous as Ka-kutstha, one who bears the hump of a bull. Many times in Ramayana, he's referred to as the descendant of Ka-kutstha. Now we know what it means. It was just a name given for this service. Sri Ram did not kill the crow, who was the son of Indra, out of gratitude for the favor Indra showed upon his ancestor many generations ago. Isn't that nice? Lord is very kind even across generations. Same as what we heard about Hanuman. Obviously, in Ramayana, this characteristic of gratitude is highlighted. It's a characteristic of one who has high consciousness, or Vaishnava consciousness in the case of the Lord, transcendental consciousness. In the celebrated image where Hanuman brings back Sita's ring, so she knows, Ram knows that Sita has been found, and he's so grateful. They have nothing to reward you except my embrace. And that's all Hanuman wants anyways. And we heard this and on the characters of Ramayana. This is from one of the versions of Ramayana, Kritivasan Ramayana, where we see Hanuman with a nice necklace, and the necklace is Sita's necklace, and it's after their inauguration as king, Ram's, and they're giving gifts to everybody. Sita is deciding who to give her necklace to. Very, very, very precious, costly necklace. And she's considering, when everything was in dark and no trace of Sita was available, who searched for her? When all of us were dead, who brought back to life all of us? Considering all these facts, this hara, or necklace, should be given to such a person, by which no one would feel small, meaning Hanuman's big. He's great. This is a characteristic of Ram and Sita, feeling gratitude towards the service of Hanuman. And finally, with Lord Ramachandra, he is giving the deity of Sri Ranganath to Vibhishan in gratitude for all of his surrender and service. That's a major gift. It's a deity that had been given to the Ikshvaku dynasty by Lord Brahma. And he's a very powerful deity, very wonderful deity, very large deity. Out of gratitude, so that the deity could protect Vibhishan from difficulties. So that's Vishnu, that's Ram, and now nice painting of Krishna. Krita, Gya, or grateful, is found right in Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is Lord Chaitanya's instructions to Sanatana. Bhaktavatsala, Kritagya, Samartha, and Vadanya. These are 4 qualities that Krishna has. Lord Krishna is very kind to his devotees. He is always very grateful and magnanimous, and he possesses all abilities. When these 64 qualities of Krishna are identified in Bhakti, Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. There we go. Kritagya, there we see the Sanskrit. A grateful person is one who acknowledges others who have done service. This is a quality of Krishna, and he gives two examples. Rupa Goswami. One of those examples is in the very next verse. In Mahabharata, Draupadi cried out, "Oh, Govinda!" Though I was situated far away, that crying out has created an ever-increasing debt which does not leave my heart. Nice. Just Draupadi's calling out in distress, "Oh, Govinda!" He felt ever-increasing indebtedness to her. And of course, we know what he did. It was cognition, affective, and motivational. But there's his emphasis in the affective part. Ever-increasing debt, which does not leave my heart. And the very next verse is by Rupa Goswami, another example about Krishna's quality of gratitude. Though Jambavan had offended Krishna, the Lord, remembering his service in the past, during the time of Lord Rama, married his daughter and gave him great respect. Since the well-bred never forget what very little service is rendered to them, what then can be said of Krishna, who is the head jewel among all well-behaved persons? That's Rupa Goswami's two examples of this quality of Krishna Kritagya. We find it in Nectar Devotion as well, because Nectar Devotion is a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It's one of the first 50 of Krishna's unlimited transcendental qualities, which we know living entities have in minute quantity, each of Krishna's 50 qualities. The gratitude of Krishna is demonstrated in his accepting this little service that Putana performed. We discussed this already. It's a quality of Krishna, Krishna manifesting his gratitude, overlooking, like it was said about Ram, overlooking all the nastiness of Putana, but accepting the service of Putana. That's the very, very unique gratitude of Krishna, giving her a position in the spiritual world as a mother, assistant of Mother Jasoda, a nurse assisting Mother Jasoda. Very special. When Krishna entered into Mathura, there were three persons who were extending willingly, offering some service. This is the weaver. He very happily provided whatever it was that Krishna and Balaram wanted for their visit, coming from the forest-dwelling life in Vrindavan. They had to be properly dressed for being in the big city, so the weaver was very happy to provide them with whatever they wanted. And we mentioned this already, the florist. The florist was particularly outstanding because his love for Krishna was so strong that Krishna then volunteered, anything at all that you want as a benediction from me, just ask and it's yours. And we know what he asked for. He asked for his eternal association in service, association of his devotees, and a friendly disposition towards all living entities. Because of the gratitude that Krishna felt for the service disposition of the florist. The florist knew that Krishna was coming, and he had some attraction for Krishna already. We were using this as an example of a transcendental gratitude, because his attraction was already there. Yeah? Gratitude in transcendence, or in raga. Now, another very interesting one is Kubja. And in Bhakti Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami gives some very interesting details found in the Mathura Harivamsa. I'm going to read. In a previous life, Kubja was a princess. She developed attraction for Krishna by hearing his qualities being glorified by Narada. Something like what Rukmini happened. She heard from Narada. Later, the king asked Narada for a suitable groom for her. Narada said, I will ask the princess, who does she desire? When asked, she said, I want that person whom you glorified as the supreme, as my husband. When Narada said that this is impossible, she said, I will marry him after 1,000,000 births. Hearing that, Narada taught her a way to attain Krishna as her husband, and she performed austerities for a long time. Then a voice from the sky said, you will be the hunchback Kubja in your next life, and by my touch become beautiful. Then I will be your husband. Later, she was born in a merchant's house belonging to Kamsa's best minister, and Kamsa assigned her to supply fragrance for him. Thus, she attained mercy by offering Krishna fragrance. But she already had this transcendental affection, and Krishna was very grateful for the service that she rendered. And so, as we see in the painting, with his toe on her toe, and the tips of his fingers, the same tips of his fingers that chopped off the washerman's head, he touched under her chin and boop, boop, lifted her up, straightened her out, and she became also very beautiful. So he's grateful, and in appreciation for the love of his devotees for him, Krishna reciprocates. Krishna reciprocates with gratitude as a student will for their teacher to Sandipani Muni. He went to find the dakshin for Sandipani Muni was to retrieve his lost son. And he asked, this is Varuna, saying where his son might have gone, Panchajanya, etc. He went to the abode of Yamaraj, found the son, and brought the son back. Out of gratitude for receiving the teachings of Sandipani Muni, which he already knew. But it's his quality and the reciprocation with a favor given or service given to his teacher. Now we have Caitanya Mahaprabhu. And the gratitude of Caitanya Mahaprabhu is very remarkable. One of the ways I'd like to begin this discussion is the Sad Goswami Astaka. Now, the beginning of this discussion on gratitude, because we're speaking about gratitude, it was humility lends itself to gratitude. They're a good fit. And with their otherworldly humility, all six of these six Goswamis, they also had very, very incredible enthusiasm to achieve Lord Chaitanya's mercy and Krishna's association. And their behavior and their writings illustrate So in their glorification, Srinivasacharya has one verse. One of the Sadgoswami Astaka verses is this one. Sri Chaitanya Kripa Barobo Vibhuvo Bara Vahantarako. And the translation, they, the six Goswamis, are fully blessed by Lord Chaitanya. Thus, they are engaged in the missionary activities meant to deliver all the conditioned souls in the material universe. Now, I'm bringing this up for a reason. One of the reasons is when one of the recordings of Srila Prabhupada singing Sadgoswami Astaka is a very sweet melody. And the way, the mood, the emotion, the ecstatic devotion with which Srila Prabhupada sings, it's heart-moving. And right in the middle, there's only 4 of the 8 verses that he sings. He sings several of them and stops in certain places and so forth. But he adds one more verse that's not part of the Sadgoswami Astaka, right in the middle, right after this line. Sri Chaitanya Kripa Barobo Vibhuvo Bara Vahantarako. He sings another verse that comes from the teachings of Narada Muni to Vasudeva when visiting Vasudeva in Dwaraka, speaking of the teachings of the Navayogendras and the section where the avatars of the personality of Godhead are identified. 2 verses prior to this one, this is verse 34. 2 verses prior to this one is that very celebrated verse that for those persons who are intelligent in this age of Kali, they engage in Sankirtan. As the Yuga avatars to be honored in that way. So this is the verse that Prabhupada sings in the same very, very moving mood. Out of sheer mercifulness, you, that's Caitanya Mahaprabhu, chased after the fallen conditioned souls who are always in pursuit of the false enjoyment of illusion, and at the same time engaged in searching out your own desired object, Lord Shyamasundara. Now, the reference, I'm bringing this up, it's not specifically illustrating the gratitude of Lord Chaitanya, but the mood of the Goswamis towards the ones that they were feeling gratitude towards, because he gave them everything, including the highest stage of love of God. They were feeling very grateful to him. And their mood, the 6 Goswamis' mood, was something very special to Lord Chaitanya. What was very special to Lord Chaitanya about their mood, he said, after meeting Rupa and Sanatan and returning back to Puri, my heart is still fondly remembering the humility, the incredible humility and submission they presented to me when I met them in Ramakeli. He's very grateful to those who have their feelings of submission presented to him. And he engaged them in a very, very, very empowered way. He invested them with all powers to assist him. So that's certainly a manifestation of his gratitude for their submission and devotion. And now there's just 2 more. Then I hope you'll enjoy these narrations. There's during the Mahaprakash Leela. Mahaprakash Leela means where Caitanya Mahaprabhu instead of just dancing in kirtan, accepted the mood of the personality of Godhead. He sat on the altar, had them worship him, had them do abhishek to him, had them offer prayers to him, honor him as the personality of Godhead. And during that Mahaprakash Leela, actually this is the next one. I'm sorry. The next one, this one. During the Mahaprakash Leela, one person who he didn't call to come forward was Mukunda Datta. Now, Mukunda Datta is a very celebrated Vaishnava. Particularly, he is known for being a wonderful singer. But Mukunda Datta, and he spoke very nicely the teachings of bhakti, yet Mukunda Datta had a tendency to go here and there and hear from different people about non-devotional teachings. Not that he came back and spread it around, but it was very displeasing to Mahaprabhu. So as Mahaprabhu was calling one person after the next person, he failed to call, he purposely didn't call Mukunda Datta. And when he was asked why you're not calling Mukunda Datta, he should come forward, he said, I don't want to see him. And they were shocked because, as far as they knew, he's a nice devotee and a very dear associate. And Lord Caitanya said he likes to go here and there. I'll read. It's so nicely written. I shall not soon be pleased with Mukunda Datta, for though he explains devotional service among devotees, he then goes to Mayavadis to hear from them the Yoga Vasishta Ramayana, which is full of Mayavad philosophy. For this I am greatly displeased with him. Hearing the Lord speak in this way, Mukunda Datta, standing outside, was exceedingly glad that the Lord would at some time be pleased with him, although he was not pleased at that moment. But when the Lord understood Mukunda Datta was going to give up the association of Mayavadis for good, he was pleased, and he once called to see Mukunda. Now, the text by Vrindavan Das Thakur is a little different than this chapter summary. I'm just going to read the text because it's really beautiful. It shows the essence is, even when thought of and spoken of in an ill way, when Lord Chaitanya indicated after many thousands of lifetimes he'll again get my association, he started dancing. And Lord Chaitanya, being omniscient, immediately called Mukunda Datta, just see. I was rejecting him, but he still was staying faithful to me, knowing that after many thousands of lifetimes, he'll come to me. So please, give up this habit of going to Mayavadis. Yes, yes, yes. I'll read. According to their attachment, various devotees requested benedictions for their disciple's son, wife, or servant. Someone said, "May I develop devotion for my spiritual master?" In this way, they all requested benedictions according to their reasoning. Lord Vishwambar, who makes the words of his devotees true, smiled as he gave benedictions to everyone. Mukunda was sitting behind a curtain. He had no power to come before the Lord. Mukunda was a great devotee and dear to everyone. He was well conversant with the background of everyone. The Lord was always listened whenever he would chant. No one could understand why he was being punished. The Lord did not call him, so he could not come. Everyone felt distressed on seeing this. Srivas said, "O Lord of the universe, please listen. How has Mukunda offended you? Mukunda is dear to you, and he is the life of us all. Whose heart does not melt on hearing Mukunda sing? He is attached to devotional service and is always careful. Yet, without seeing any fault in him, you dishonor him. If he actually committed an offense, then punish him. But why should you neglect your servant? He cannot come before you unless you call him. Therefore, O Lord, please call him so that he can see you. The Lord replied, do not speak such words again. Don't ever speak to me on that fellow's behalf. You have heard before the saying, quote, sometimes he takes a straw in his hands and sometimes he takes a stick. This applies to this fellow, yet none of you have recognized him. Sometimes he takes a straw in his teeth, and sometimes he beats with a stick. Therefore the straw stick holder cannot see me. The expert speaker, Shiva, spoke again to the Lord. Who is qualified to understand your prowess? We do not find any fault in Mukunda. Your lotus feet, which award fearlessness, are witness of this fact. The Lord said, wherever this fellow goes, he mingles with the persons there and speaks like one of them. When he studies Yoga Vashishta in Advaita's association, he takes a straw in his teeth and sings and dances in a devotional mood. When he mingles with another sampradaya, he constantly beats me with a stick by not accepting devotional service. Anyone who explains there is something superior to devotional service constantly beats me with a stick. He has committed an offense against devotional service, therefore he cannot see me. Mukunda heard everything from outside. He heard that he would not get the Lord's darshan. Mahaprabhu knew that I did not respect devotional service due to advice of some guru. This is the potency of Lord Chaitanya. The exalted Vaishnava Mukunda thought, there is no need to continue my life. Today I will give up this offensive body, for I don't know when I shall see him again. Mukunda said, listen, Srivas Thakur, ask the Lord when I will be able to see him. Mukunda then shed incessant tears, and all the devotees also began to cry on seeing Mukunda's distress. The Lord said, after millions of births he will certainly get my darshan. As soon as Mukunda heard from the Lord that he would certainly attain him, he became immersed in spiritual happiness. He began to enthusiastically dance while exclaiming, I will attain him, I will attain him. In this way, Lord Chaitanya's servant became overwhelmed in ecstasy. On hearing the statement, he will see me, Mukunda began to dance in great happiness. On seeing Mukunda, Lord Vishwambar smiled and ordered, bring Mukunda at once. All the Vaishnavas called, come Mukunda, but Mukunda was so happy that he did not know what was happening. The Lord said, oh Mukunda, you are freed from your offense. Come see me and take my mercy. By the order of the Lord, all the devotees brought Mukunda, who fell on the ground on seeing the Lord. The Lord said, get up, my dear Mukunda. You do not have even a fraction of offense. The faults of your bad association are vanquished. I have been defeated by you. I declared that you would achieve me after millions of births, but you have become freed from them within a moment. Here's the key. You were confident that my words are infallible. Thus, you have captured me in your heart forever. You are my singer, and you always reside with me. I was joking with you because you are a proper candidate. If you actually committed millions of offenses, they wouldn't be considered offenses because you are so dear to me. You are my servant, and your body is filled with devotional service. I constantly reside on your tongue. On hearing the Lord's solacing words, Mukunda cried profusely as he lamented and condemned himself. So it's different, but there's some similarities to what Vamana did with Bali. He treated him what looked like harshly, and it didn't affect Mukunda. I mean, affected if he wasn't going to be able to see him ever, but millions of lifetimes. He not only was dancing, he was in ecstasy, he didn't even know what was going on. And that pleased Lord Chaitanya very much. He had such faith, not only in his word, but his strong attachment, his raga, for the personality of Godhead's association. That is what pleased, despite the harsh words and the strong treatment and so forth. Now, Vaman knew Bali's heart, Caitanya Mahaprabhu knew Mukunda Datta's heart, and he was correcting him, going to hear Mayavad philosophy. That's not okay. He spoke, there is something higher than devotional service. To Lord Chaitanya, as far as he's concerned, that's an offense. But his attachment to Lord Chaitanya lifted him above all of those impurities and shortcomings. One more, going back now, this is again at the house of Srivas Thakur, and there was a brahmachari, an austere brahmachari, that Srivas kind of snuck in the back door, because Lord Chaitanya had given very, very strict orders, no outsiders. That was his words, no outsiders. This is during the 1 year of the nocturnal kirtan at Srivas's house. And different persons wanted to come and they wouldn't let them come. But Srivas had a soft spot for this austere brahmachari, and he understood that he was pure. And so he allowed him to, in a hiding place, to come inside his house and observe the kirtan of Mahaprabhu from a hidden place. That's here. It's very nice. But so it looks like harsh, but it ends up being very, very merciful. There was one particular brahmachari who lived in Navadvip. He was austere, saintly, and faultless. He only drank milk and did not eat rice. This brahmana wanted to see the Lord's kirtan. Since the Lord performed kirtan behind closed doors, no one other than the devotees were allowed to enter. This particular brahmana daily requested Srivas to allow him to see the Lord's dancing. Quote, "If you bestow mercy on me and take me one day inside your house, I will be able to see Nimai Pandits dancing. Then my eyes will be successful and I will always remain grateful to you." In this way, the brahmana daily appealed to Srinivas, and who one day replied to him. Should be Srivas. "I know you have always been a good person. Throughout your life you have observed strict celibacy and eaten only fruits. Your body is free from sin, so you are certainly qualified to see the kirtan. But I tell you, the Lord has instructed us not to bring anyone inside, so you'll have to stay hidden." After speaking in this way, he took the brahmana inside and hid him in one corner. Thereafter, the Lord of the 14 worlds began to dance in the midst of his most fortunate associates. And it describes the dancing and the words, the names of the Lord that he was singing, and so on. Yet Lord Vishwambar, the crushed jewel of omniscient persons, knew the brahmana was hiding there. Lord Vishwambar repeatedly stopped dancing and said, "Why am I not feeling any ecstasy today? I cannot understand. It seems someone is inside the house. Tell me the truth. Is the paper blocking the camera? Was the paper blocking the camera? Okay. In fear, Srivas replied, O Lord, no atheists have come inside. There is only one brahmachari, a pious brahmana, who leads a sinless life and only drinks milk. He had a strong desire to see your dancing. You have rightly surmised, O Lord, he is hiding inside the house. On hearing this, Vishwambar angrily said, Quickly take him out of the house. What qualification does he have to see my dancing? Can one attain devotion to me by drinking milk? The Lord raised his two arms and extended an index finger while saying, No one can attain me simply by drinking milk. Know for certain that even if a Chandala surrenders to me, he is mine and I am his. If even a sannyasi does not surrender to me, he is not mine. This is the truth I am telling you. Tell me, what kind of austerities did Gajendra, the monkeys, and the cowherds perform to attain me? Even the demons perform austerities. But what is the result? Unless they take shelter of me, they cannot be delivered. Now he's disclosing his divinity. The one who delivered Gajendra, the one who was dealing with the monkeys, etc. One cannot attain me only by drinking milk. You will see right here how I smash him to pieces. As the brahmachari left in great fear, the sober brahmana thought to himself, and just his thoughts are going to attract Lord Chaitanya's favor. I am indeed fortunate to have seen something. I have also received appropriate punishment for my offense. I saw that wonderful dancing and wonderful kirtan, and I was punished according to my offense. Only a servant of the Lord develops such a mentality and is able to tolerate the Lord's chastisement. As the exalted Brahmana departed while thinking in this way, Lord Vishwambar, the Supersoul, understood his heart. The Lord, who is an ocean of mercy, called the Brahmana back and placed his feet on his head. Then the Lord told him that he shouldn't be proud of his austerity and that he should know for certain that devotional service to the Supreme Lord is supreme. That exalted Brahmana cried in ecstasy as he continually remembered the merciful qualities of the Lord. All the devotees then jubilantly chanted the name of Hari and immediately offered obeisances to the brahmachari. Anyone who faithfully hears this confidential pastime will certainly attain Lord Gaurachandra. After bestowing mercy on the brahmachari, the Lord profusely danced in ecstasy. So, Vrindavan Das is recounting a wonderful pastime where the Lord was appreciating the simplicity and fidelity of this austere Brahmana. And the Brahmana was feeling very grateful to Caitanya Mahaprabhu for his kindness in allowing him to see and for punishing him appropriately. Although it was just, the punishment was for violating a rule. Don't let other people come in unless they're just our devotees. So in fact, he was surrendered to Lord Chaitanya, which was the criterion. And Caitanya Mahaprabhu was very, very merciful. Mahavadanyaya, that's one of the characteristics, and grateful for the submission of his devotees. and he reciprocates in very wonderful ways. So that's our topic for this evening, the gratitude of the Supreme Person and each of these different features, Vishnu, Ram, Krishna, and Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So we've gone for over an hour. Let us see if there's some discussion. I hope you appreciated the Lord's quality of gratitude. Are you with us, Komati?
Hare Krishna Maharaj, yes.
How are we doing? We have some questions?
Yes, Maharaj. We have 2 so far from this class and 2 from the previous class.
Okay.
Should I start?
Let's do this class first. We'll do the previous class later. Okay?
Okay. So the first question is from Girivaradari Prabhu, who asks, The Lord's pastime shows his mercy is not proportional to his devotees' service. We are very tiny. When we are expressing our gratitude, should it depend on the service we received?
Should it depend upon what?
The service that we've received.
The service that we receive or that
Yes,
we give?
They wrote received.
Huh?
They wrote received.
Giri Varadari, I see your picture there. Can you unmute? Can you unmute him so he can explain his question?
Yes, Maharaj.
So, Maharaj, Hare Krishna Maharaj. So, when we express our gratitude to a person who has done some service for us, or I think, so the gratitude what we are expressing, should it be proportional to what the service?
Well,
what we receive?
Yes, naturally. And not only to the service, but to the person. It can be something very simple, but if that something very simple is offered with, unique devotion, then we may express commensurate with that devotion, not just the service rendered. Next.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question is from Yashodanandan Prabhu, who asks, in the story of Mukunda Datta, he received the benediction from Lord Chaitanya of understanding exactly what was holding back the fullness of his relationship with Mahaprabhu. And then Mukunda Datta could immediately act upon it, removing that block in the relationship. As disciples, how do we best avail ourselves to that clarity of understanding? What is holding us back most in our relationships with you and the other devotees, and by default, Krishna?
Well, when the heart is open, those understandings flood in. When the heart is not open, then those understandings are continuously blocked, even if they're told. So the key, my response to your question is, the key is a heart that's open. What does that mean, and how do we do it? So there's a fundamental principle in the matter of devotional service is the goal of the purpose. The goal and the purpose is reestablishing our relationship with Krishna. And if that higher purpose is in focus or, is clear, then the steps towards that become also clear, including, what are the obstacles that are standing in the way, etc., etc. And so generally, speaking in general terms, our purpose in devotional service is blurry. not so clear. And therefore, our understanding of, those things that are blocking correspondingly are not so clear. So if you want to know how they can become clear, my response is it takes clarity as to the purpose and goal. I mean, I'm thinking of that nice phrase of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur of the distinction between the soul and the coverings of the soul are effaced by chanting. And that is to say, it takes time of rubbing and rubbing and rubbing until they're effaced. But if we have faith, and we chant with that faith as the driving force that it's going to take us to the conclusion, and we continue with faith in the process, then the goal becomes clearer. The obstacles to reach the goal become then also clearer. You turn on the light and you can see the dirty places in your house. And you don't turn on the light and they're not so clear. Well, they may be there, but you don't see them so well. So it's to turn on the light exercise. They become increasingly more fixed on, let's say, the purpose of chanting while chanting, the restoring of our relationship with Krishna, and that access to a relationship with Krishna is made most available through his name, which is exactly what Caitanya Mahaprabhu says. Approach to you is made so easy, but I have no attraction for them. So then it's okay. Now, what are the obstacles? 1, 2, 3, 4. Shikshastika 3. And so then the goal becomes more clear. Yes? Next.
Next, Marge?
Yes, please.
Oh, sorry. The next question is from Yolanda Mataji. She's asking, she has 2 questions related to this morning's class and the Vyasa Puja address.
Okay, fine.
The first question is gratitude in the mode of goodness conditional or unconditional?
I want to ask her a question before I answer her question. And I wanted to apologize, what I think is an appropriate apology. Her name doesn't end with an A, it ends with an E. And you say Yolanda, so I was repeating Yolanda, but that's not what her name is. And her name is Yolandi. So if she wants her name to be pronounced correctly, she can let us know, because from now on you just say what her name is, Yolandi, instead of Yolanda. And it's a small thing. It's just small things are personal. So now, say her question again. I was focused on pronouncing her name properly.
Yes, Marge. Her question was, I apologize. Her question was, is gratitude in the mode of goodness conditional or unconditional?
Oh, it's conditional. Transcendental is unconditional, and everything within the modes is conditional. It can be less or more, but conditional. In other words, everybody in the mode of goodness, they have their breaking point. Persons that are beyond the mode of goodness, they don't have their breaking point. Next question.
The next question, Maharaj, is, for those who are not yet initiated, is it okay to meditate that we've received the Mahamantra from you, I find that this helps with chanting more attentively.
Sure. Sure. And see that person from whom you've received something as an instrument of something greater than that person you received from. I mean, it's something, I was thinking a little bit further about Surabhi's question about Agni being ill from too much ghee. Why is that? Because the fire is the tongue of Vishnu. So why is Agni feeling not well? So the Vishnu acts through others. The oblations, everything that is corresponding to our consciousness. Everything is so one will see. We're going to hear tomorrow morning. We're going to hear tomorrow morning about the Mathura Brahmana was a devotee of Durga, and the feature of Durga that he was devoted to was Kamakya Devi. And in his dream, after worshipping Kamakya Devi gave him, in his dream, gave him the Madan Gopal mantra and detailed instructions on how to chant and worship using that Madan Gopal mantra. At the end, that was in the beginning part of Brihat Bhagavatamrita, at the end, Srimati Radharani says to Sarup, this Mathura Brahmana is my devotee. So go to him and help him. Now, he considers himself a devotee of Kamakya Devi, but Kamakya Devi is an expansion of Durga, who's an expansion of Radharani. Radharani considers the Mathura Brahmana to be her devotee, although she was not worshipping directly, or he was not worshipping directly. So anyway, that's little, not exactly on the topic of the question, but say the question again, one more time.
Yes, Marge. For those who are not yet initiated, is it okay to meditate that we've received the Mahamantra from you?
Yeah, so we receive the Mahamantra from whom? We receive the Mahamantra, ultimately when you receive from Guru, you receive it from Krishna. But, through the agency of, yes. But, bear in mind that who's behind. Who is one being the representative of. So, yes. To her, yes with an elaboration. Next.
Thank you, Raj. The next question is from Radha Kunja Bihari Prabhu, who asks, in Krishna's pastime with Putana, out of gratitude for the little bit of service, she is rewarded by the Lord. In contrast, in Ramayana, Shurpanaka also desired the Lord, even though in a demoniac way. Was there any reciprocation shown by the Lord for her? And isn't her case similar to Kubja?
Well, she was attracted, but she didn't come forward with some service. She was attracted, but she didn't come forward with some service. Now, I recall reading something somewhere. Nityananda Pran, if you're listening, could you send something in or at request to be unmuted and explain how she was rewarded, if she was rewarded? So that's the question, isn't it? Did Shurpanaka receive reward like Putana did? That's the question, right?
The question, Maharaj, was Shurpanaka, was just like that, and then is Shurpanaka's case similar to Kubja?
Okay, so let's see if Nityananda Pran. I recall something, but I don't recall. I can't remember the detail. And if Shyamkund is listening, you can also ask to be spoken to. I don't see Lal Gopal. Lal Gopal may have some answer too. These are our three Ramayana bhaktas. Next.
The next question is from Sneha Vali Mataji, who'd like to present her question, Maharaj.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Prabhupada and you. Guru Maharaj, I have two questions which I would like to ask. One is related to Kubja only, and I think we heard that she performed austerities and was instructed by Narada. And in Krishna book, I think I remember Prabhupada mentioned that she had lusty feelings and she got purified after meeting with Krishna. So my first thought is, of course, she was not the pure devotee, but why is that the case? Even though she performed austerities, she carried those lusty feelings towards Krishna.
Well, there's different things that can be said in response to Prabhupada's statement that she had lusty feelings. And one way to answer your question, or how did she still have lusty feelings, is one way to look at and hear the description of the gopis had also lusty feelings, but what kind of lusty feelings? It's not the same kind of lusty feelings as a mundane male or female feel towards the other gender. So, it's a transcendental lust. That's one answer. Or that they also became purified. There were certain. There's lengthy descriptions found in commentaries about those who are not Nitya Siddha, gopis, but some became gopis by the association with Nitya Siddhas. And they married someone who was living in Braja, and through the marriage, they then had the opportunity to associate with the Nitya Siddha gopis, and they became elevated, and then in contact with Krishna, their lust was gone. But they weren't already fully purified, but purified enough to have that opportunity for the Nitya Siddha gopis association. So it's a little subtle. It's not black and white. And so there's different ways of looking at this Prabhupada's statement that Kubja had lusty feelings. It could be like the gopis, or it could be a transcendental feature. By undergoing austerities, now that's what seems to be at the heart of their question, it doesn't mean by austerities lust is gone. But by austerities, she, obviously with devotion, because she was with Narada's association, much like Dhruva also had Narada's association, and he became free from his worldly desires. But not until the Lord appeared. When the Lord appeared, it was gone. And so perhaps that's an explanation, a worthy explanation, a possible explanation. And that is to say, she wasn't completely purified until the Lord touched her chin, and she was making some offerings in a loving mood, in a lusty and loving mood, but that became purified by his touch, similar to Dhruva's being touched by the conch shell of Lord Vishnu. Now there's another answer, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to send it to you as an attached file, a little document. It's a little complicated to explain it, but I just had this discussion with another Vaishnav today, on when one authoritative source says this, and another authoritative source says that, and they seem to be in contradiction to one another. How do we reconcile when this one says this and that one says that? Because that's an obstacle that you come across from time to time, and it's fine. I mean, I'm appreciating how carefully you hear and read. I really like it. It's really wonderful. It's a very good quality. And getting an understanding of how to reconcile, there are some options. So I'll share that little document with you. I think it will help you.
Thank you very much. Guru Maharaj, I have one or two more questions.
Okay,
May
go
I
ahead. Please.
Yes. Okay. In a previous one, in fact, today also, right now also, we discussed about Kritagna. Kritagna, the one who is not, the one who does not
Ungrateful.
identify. It's not Kritagya, it's the opposite of Kritagya, is Kritagna. So
Yes.
I was thinking, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was thinking of the examples from Bhagavatam about Kritagna, and I could only think of Indra. As you mentioned that Lord Krishna got the Titi's earrings,
Yes.
and that he fought for the Parijata tree.
Yeah.
But are there more examples of Kritagna in Bhagavatam?
You're asking, are there more examples in the Bhagavatam?
Yes.
That's a
Guru
pretty
Maharaj.
good example, isn't it? Nothing comes to mind as I'm, like a flash, but I'm sure if I thought about it in a more, not on the hot seat right now position, I would come up with some other ones. Ungrateful.
Okay. Thank you. Another one is a follow-up on Yamuna Jeevan Prabhu's question, where he was asked.
My thought is starting to drift. I'm sure if you pieced it together, we would find that quality in Daksha. Now, how to connect the dots so that it's very clear. It's an ungrateful disposition. There's other things mixed in there, pride and envy, so forth. But they're being ungrateful for what he had received. He's an elevated person, very clearly spoken by Brahma to the Prachetas before Daksha was born. He's on the level of Brahma. He's very. You'll have a very qualified son. So he was confirmed, very qualified son. But some unwanted things inside there too. So he had received a lot of mercy. Lord Vishnu came before him and offered this and that, and yet he still got carrying stuff around. So it seems to me there's some ungratefulness within him that's part of the picture. Okay, I'll think some more, and if I come up with some other ungrateful examples from the Bhagavatam, I'll holler. I'll send you a message.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, Maharaj, one more question, and this is a follow-up from Yamuna Jeevan Prabhu's question, where he was talking about kind of gratitude that we cannot. I'm relating to his question that yes, we cannot carry on the feeling of gratitude every time. We kind of, he used the phrase kind of a leaking bucket. And if I understood correctly, you mentioned that this will be the case until we are on a spontaneous bhakti.
Yes.
So my question is, up till that time, we will still be having these up and down feelings of having the gratitude and not having
it's anishtha bhakti. Before anishtha bhakti, before nishtha comes on. So, a modified response to his question is, because I was using that frame of when spontaneous or rag comes. Now, one can say that when one reaches the stage of nishtha, you know from Madhurya Kandambini, you've read that, right?
No, I
You've
haven't
not read it?
it.
Okay.
No.
Okay. In Madhurya Kandambini, there's the 9 stages, and nishtha is one of the stages. And nishtha, you know, shraddha, sadhusanga, bhajana kriya, anartha nivritti, nishtha. You're familiar with that, right?
Yes,
Okay. So,
yeah.
anartha nivritti, when anarthas are nearly gone but not completely gone, nashta prayeshu abhadreshu, almost gone. That's the nishtha stage. They're not completely gone, but the bhakti has become so strong that they can't act. So strong, at least they, it's not unsteady, it's steady. At a stage when the anarthas are nearly gone. So that's not the stage of spontaneous devotion. Spontaneous devotion is far more advanced than the steady stage of steadiness or nishtha. Spontaneous is very close to the bhava bhakti stage, where one is moved by a spontaneous attraction. Nishtha is still in the regulative stage, but steady, because anarthas are mostly gone, or sufficiently gone, that bhakti is strong enough that if they do make their appearance, they're overwhelmed by the power of bhakti. Anarthas are nearly overwhelmed by the power of bhakti. Is that so? What I'm saying here then is there's gradations. It's not a bell rings and then you'll cross the finish line or something. In the nishtha stage, then it's nearly gone, and in the spontaneous stage, is gone. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Guru Maharaj. Yes, I remembering you forwarded a document on this Madhurya Kadamni where the different stages of bhakti were mentioned.
Okay.
But I haven't read the book. But yes, you forwarded a document to me, and I am reading that here.
There's I've given seminars on that several times. Once right here in Naperville, and a couple other times before that. So. In Chicago. Okay. I thought it was here in Naperville. No? Okay. A little disagreement. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Komati, take it away.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. We have 2 questions. But before that, Prematarangini Mataji sent in something saying, according to Garga Samhita and Brahma Vaivarta Purana, Shurpanaka became Kubja in Krishna's Leela.
Okay. Now, a response to that is, when I was just reading, because I just went, before this evening's class, I was reading from Jiva Goswami's Sandarbhas, Bhakti Sandarbha. And when he made this mention, because it's several times mentioned, not just Jiva Goswami, several places it's mentioned, that there's different days of Brahma, and he mentions it specifically. So it doesn't mean if previous she was a princess, then she couldn't have possibly been Shurpanaka. And if she was Shurpanaka, then she couldn't possibly have been a princess. So it's just different days of Brahma. But so thank you, Prematarangini, for that research. Garga Samhita, and what was the other reference?
Brahma Vaivarta Purana.
Brahma Vaivarta Purana. Okay. Thank you.
The next question, Maharaj, is from Shyamasundar Prabhu, who asks, in the pastime of Durvasa Muni, Vishnu asked him to go and beg forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj.
Yes.
But in the pastime of the crow offending Mother Sita, why didn't Lord Ram tell the crow to go and beg forgiveness from Mother Sita?
He could have. Maybe, someone could argue he should have. But he didn't. And so why didn't he? There's no explanation why he didn't. So you could then say, here are some possibilities to consider, but we don't know for sure. That Sita, Ram's accepting that because Ram did it. He sent that blade of grass imbued with Brahmastra power, and that was what he was running from. So, but it's like the Sudarshan chakra is quite similar. So the Vishnu's chakra going after Durvasa Muni. Because Sita is his internal potency by his accepting, giving shelter, then Sita would. So there's no clear explanation other than there's some possibilities to select. Sometimes in my discussions with very senior Vaishnavas, that's the place where the discussion goes. Since there's no commentary specifically known by our acharyas on point X, then one can consider, here are some plausible possibilities. It's not conclusive. Next.
Thank you, Maharaj. The next question is from Krishna Priya Mataji, who says, it appears that the effect of receiving mercy wholeheartedly is reciprocated with some service done in gratitude. Even Supreme Lord wants to do something in return. My question is in connection to the trap one might fall in, wanting to do something immediate without consideration of other factors that one's life situation might be in. What takes one to take time to integrate what we have received in gratitude before the act of doing something back?
It takes mode of goodness. Being reflective rather than being reactionary. Someone recently was just sharing this with me. They wanted to express something, but they wanted to not be impulsive and impetuous and be a little thoughtful before they said something, did something. And that's just, sometimes you can't, you don't have that leisure. Sometimes you can. And when you can, it's good to be reflective instead of impulsive or reactionary. So what does it take? It takes mode of goodness. And, driving mode of goodness is transcendental goodness. You want Krishna to be pleased, not just, be right and get something done, check the box, and move on to the next thing. Hare Krishna. Okay. Are we done?
Yes, Maharaj. Yes, Maharaj.
That's it, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I thank you all very much, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning. One more day. Yashodanandana, what's the good news?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. First of all, thank you for that really powerful class. It's pretty incredible to consider that Krishna feels grateful. It's a beautiful quality in the relationship, especially given he doesn't need any of us in the sense that he's completely self-satisfied. And his gratitude seems to be an example of causeless mercy and his boundless capability to love each of us. It's beautiful. And so just to share more for everyone on the call, as a reflection on that gratitude, the causeless gratitude that we receive, Maharaj, you allow us to take on a variety of services out of your kindness, and we're the beneficiaries of that act of service. And it's an incredible gift that you're giving. And when we're talking about this theme of gratitude, and especially in relation to humility, just understanding that you go through austerity for us to get benefited, and we're many times begrudgingly accepting that benefit. There's just this overwhelming debt that we encounter. And you dedicate your life to sharing Krishna consciousness. You go through all these things to help us become a little bit closer to Krishna. And it's with just that reflection of gratitude, and that really all of this is for our ability to get a little bit closer to Krishna, that I'm putting out the request that for anybody that feels inspired to continue supporting our dear spiritual master in his efforts, in his causeless initiatives, again, this is an opportunity for us to support the wonderful work and service that Maharaj does by financially supporting these things. And for those of you that are inspired to give a donation, you can do so in two ways. Those of you who prefer to even in this way reciprocate a little bit, even in this feeling of gratitude, can go to rupapadswami.com on the donate page, which I'll put in the chat right now.
Sorry, Yashodananda Prabhu?
Oh, yes.
Sorry. Nityananda Prabhu has sent something about Kubja and Shurpanaka that I was just wondering to relay to Maharaj.
Sure. And for those of you that would prefer to support this service through check, checks can be made payable to ISKCON and mailed to Prabhu Madhuri Mataji, but her legal name is Hani Sumudrala. So I'll put that information in the chat as well. So again, it's an opportunity for us to financially support the wonderful service that Guru Maharaj does. And again, Krishna can empower everyone to do anything, and this is really an opportunity for us to receive that benefit from his tireless service. Okay. And so I'll, Yolande, I see your note. I'll reply specifically to you just as a private message, but we're requesting everyone to please either electronically through rupapadswami.com/donate, there's a PayPal button, or mailing a check to Prabhu Madhuri Mataji. So the note from Nityananda Prabhu about the question raised with respect to Kubja and Shurpanaka. Shurpanaka was born as Kubja, so there was reciprocation by Krishna. As Shurpanaka, it was not possible for her to fulfill her desires because Sri Ram would not exhibit Parakya Ras. Shurpanaka received Lakshman's grace that gave her the opportunity to receive Sri Krishna's grace as Kubja. So thank you very much for that, Nityananda Prabhu, for providing that explanation. For tomorrow, we'll continue with the morning class at 7:30, and it's going to be an extra special class. It's called Gift of the Holy Name, very appropriately, because it will be also an initiation class. So please come on time to take part in the full festivities that continue through tomorrow. And Comedy, a request, if you can just keep the chat, like this meeting, open just a little bit so I can message back the individuals. But if there's nothing else, Hare Krishna, get some good rest, and we'll meet each other tomorrow.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. That's it.
Recording stopped.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Yashodanandan Prabhu. Can I ask you something?
Give me a second. Sorry, there's several messages. I'm a really lousy multitasker. Maybe could you just send it as a direct message? It'll be a little easier for me to manage.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay. Maybe if you can respond to everyone, the questions have been asked in the chat, that will be good instead of a direct. If you can respond to this last question by Yolande.
Sure.
Thank you.
A minute.
Yashodanandan Prabhu?
Yeah.
No rush at all. You can take all the time you need. I have nothing else to do.
Oh man. Okay. Okay. Who still is waiting on a response?
I was waiting, Prabhu. And I'm looking at the chat and I am not seeing your answer here. Yeah.
Okay. There, just sent. Anyone else?
The PayPal one, is that also through Vedic Connection, or how is it the PayPal one? PayPal is through Maharaj's website?
Yes.
Okay.
Yashodanandan Prabhu, this thing wasn't mentioned in the Vyasa Puja website. I think if it was mentioned, then it would have been helpful, right?
Probably. Yes.
It wasn't mentioned.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something that I just found out about that was being discussed today.
Yeah.
So it's a little fresh.
Yeah. Going forward, like we can be careful about this.
Sure.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you so much for